you should be more concerned with your current trajectory than your current results. And I'll explain what I mean. First, I read this amazing statement in a book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's a fantastic book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. This statement got me thinking, and I see that we have been placed in a situation where everything around us is moving, things are changing. Even the physical stuff, like the earth, it constantly rotates around its axis, giving us day and night. Now, interestingly, humans decided to record each passing day in what we know as the calendar. Yeah. So, as an individual, if you decide to stay the same way you were, say 10 years ago, while we've been recording human progress on the calendar, it means that 10 years after, you are not really the same as you were 10 years ago. You've been left behind because humanity has progressed through those 10 years. And there's so many examples to prove this. You see the means of communication, for example. 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, you probably had to use a landline to make a call. And you had to wait for several minutes for your call to be connected, etc. But today, there are various means of communication. There's instant messaging, video calls, everything you want to use to reach out to someone who is many miles away, probably even at the other side of the world. What does this mean? A person who still uses the landline he used to use 20, 30 years ago has really not stayed the same. He or she has been left behind. Now, a question you might want to ask is, how can I apply this information? How can I ensure that I am constantly moving along as the earth is also progressing? How am I also making personal progress? And there are three tips I will share concerning this. The first thing I want to say, which is before the tips, is that time actually is a magnifier of the margin between success and failure. This was a quote I read in the book Atomic Habits. And essentially, what he was trying to say was that sometimes it feels like there is no change happening in the present. But over time, the change that has always been there, those miniature changes, those things that were not noticeable previously in the moment, now become very magnified because over the space of, say, 10 years, the small changes every day will add up to much. There's this common example that if you improve 1% every day, after a year, you would have been 37 times better. Same thing if you get worse 1% every day, after a year, you'll be at zero level. So, what are the three tips you can use to utilize this information? The first thing I'd say is have a set and definite set of goals. Now, of course, this could sound quite cliche. Everybody speaks about having goals, but this will become more relevant when we speak about our next tip. But about setting goals, have a desired set of outcomes that you want to attain or achieve. And they have to be clear in your mind. They have to be things that you can clearly articulate and also know when you attain them. So they have to be tangible and measurable. Now, measurable takes us to our next tip, which is that measure your actions every day. See, it's very easy to live each day and sort of drift. I have the example of a piece of plastic on the ocean. It's just drifting. Sometimes it might look as if it's not really moving anywhere, but when you look at it from a broad view, when you look at it over the space of the day, you see that it has probably moved several hundreds of miles. Meanwhile, it looked as if it was just on the same spot from the point of view of the plastic itself. So measure your actions every day. Little amounts add up. Little amounts add up. You remember the example of being 37 times better by just improving 1% every day. There's also the example of if you will take maybe 10,000 euros versus €1 that multiplies itself or doubles each day. At the end of 31 days, you find out that 10,000 euros will pale in comparison to what €1 doubled every day has amounted to. So measure your progress every day and measure your progress with reference to the set goal in tip number one. If you haven't set a definite desired outcome, then it will be harder to measure whether you are actually making daily actions that lead you towards your desired outcome. You see, so that's why number one and two are very important. Set a definite goal, and number two, measure your outcomes. And I think this is also the core of what James Clear was saying, that focus more on the trajectory, the outcome. Check yourself whether today I have moved closer to the goals I had set, or if I'm just drifting and, in essence, being taken farther away from those goals. Now, the third thing that will be like a natural result of measuring your actions is getting better every day. Choosing to improve by that 1% every day. If you decide to keep doing the same thing, which is really not the same thing because everything around you is improving or changing, that will amount to being left behind, and it will be difficult to attain the goals that you have set for yourself. But if you decide to get better every day through improving the way you do your things, journaling, self-reflection, and even just reading more books or taking more courses, speaking with more people, finding ways to become better at what you do, then you would be more likely to attain your goal. One final thought I'd like to share is that consistency really is not a problem in itself because everyone is consistent. Based on the situation we've been put in, the framework of reality where there's day in, day out, things are constantly happening, repeating themselves time and time again. Like there have been countless number of sunrises and countless number of sunsets consistently without fail. And for everyone who is a part of this reality called mankind, everyone who is a human being has consistently seen sunrise and sunset. So, in a manner of speaking, everyone has been consistent. The question is not, has everyone been consistently doing the things that move them towards their desired goal, their desired outcome? So, in essence, it is consistently focusing on those actions that will move you towards your goal as against just consistently living, which will be consistently drifting away from what you've desired to achieve. I hope this was helpful to you, and I'll see you tomorrow.